All right, it's a lovely Friday morning in our state capital, and it's time for Politics 107 on dialing 107.3 FM. My name is Zandas, OKKOT. Well, today, yes, you agree with me that the Independent National Electoral Commission recently confirmed an unprecedented surge in the number of citizens seeking to register as voters ahead of the 2023 elections. Chairman of the INEC Chairman of INEC's Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, revealed this in a statement. Consequently, the Commission convened an urgent meeting with all the resident electoral commissioners on Thursday, 9th of June 2022 to review the situation so that eligible Nigerians who wish to register are able to do so. The necessities to urgently deploy more voter enrollment machines to ease the congestion at the registration centers was identified as priority. It was also gathered that close to 11 million new registrants have been registered in the last few months since INEC announced the deadline. Reasons for the interest in registration for permanent voters. Reasons for the interest in registration for permanent voters cards may include a referendum on the current administration, the entrance of P2B into the race, the decision by Nigerians to have a break with the two major political parties, and the quest by young Nigerians to be more involved in the national political process. INEC said it has therefore deployed additional 209 voter enrollment machines to the 5 southeastern states as well as Lagos and Kano to ease the congestion at the ongoing continuous voter registration centers. Today on Politics 107 on dialing 107.3 FM, we want to critically look at the reasons for the recent upsurge at registration centers and what it portends for the 2023 elections. My name is Zandas, OKKOT, and my guest this morning is hold it there. I want to get the profile of my guest this morning.
I'm going to charge you.
Just hold on. You know, I need to be on top of this situation right now.
Every second counts here.
Okay, let's do it this way. All right. Yes, my guest is Dr. Asukwo Medi Archibong Esq. He's a U.S. attorney at law. He also has a background in broadcasting. In 2018, he formed the now deregistered Nigeria for Democracy Party. He was the party's presidential candidate for the 2019 general election. He is a good governance advocate who pushes for the dividends of democracy to trickle down to everyone. Archibong Esq tackles social issues all over the country. And today, I am proud to tell you he's in Imo State capital, Owerri, and we are going to be looking at the recent upsurge in voter registration in Nigeria. You're welcome, and thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you. Such a pleasure, Zandas. Thank you. And it's so good to see you. I know we saw sometime in 2018. That's almost 4 years ago. Yeah,
then you were a presidential candidate. Yes.
At that time.
But now you're a social crusader.
And this, you know, there are two pathways here. So you can be a politician, or you can be interested in governance. So not everybody has to run for a position. If you are not interested in politics, at least be interested in governance. And at this point, I think I'm more effective in the governance section. Okay,
that's good to note. All right, at this point now, we go straight to the crux of the matter this morning. Let's start this way. Let's get your views on the recent upsurge of registrants at INEC registration centers across the country. What are your views? What do you think about the recent upsurge?
Well, here is the thing. If you don't have your PVC, the permanent voters card, if you don't have your PVC, it means you're absolutely powerless within the Federation of Nigeria. It means you don't have a control, at least to a certain reasonable extent, about the future that you are engaging within the Federation of Nigeria. It means you've given up on every aspect of governance and politicking in the Federation of Nigeria. So there is a reawakening, if I can say that, because there was some kind of awakening in the 60s, but now that was gone because of the interregnum in military rule. There is now a reawakening amongst the youth. Remember that the youth in Nigeria below the age of 13 have a population, have a percentage of over 65% of Nigerians under the age of 30. So because things have gotten so bad, because of governance has gotten so poor, because politicking has taken a detour far away from what it should be, the youths are now saying, no, we really must be engaged. And remember, there was that NSAS situation about 2 years ago. That didn't end in the way and manner that youths wanted it to go. So now, having learnt their lesson, that being on the street might not bring the desired change, they now say, what is the alternative and peaceful means whereby we can bring about change in the Federation of Nigeria? And that alternative means is to obtain your permanent voter's card and participate diligently in the electoral process. And that's what we see happening.
And that's why we have, if someone is just coming into the Nigerian political space, he or she will say, this is not the first time we're having elections. This is not the first time we have such high percentage of youths below 30 in the country. You understand? So, what could be the reasons, the major reason? In my intro, some said a referendum against the present administration. Some said, is it probably because of the emergence of P2B into the entrance of P2B into the race? Or is it the decision by Nigerians to have a break from the two major political parties? Or quest by the youth to be more involved in political process? What is the driving force? What is the major factor here for
all of them? Here, let's take it in this manner. We have had the same set of people ruling us time and time again. If you really notice, people were exasperated with the emergence of the two candidates in the two political parties that are in pole or leading position in terms of reach within the country. Now, having been exasperated, some were exasperated, having been exasperated, they said, who can we now push forward? But even if you push someone forward, you still don't have that registration. So the idea became, let's begin the drive for everyone to have a PVC. And remember, people are also getting older, maturing and aging into the voting population. And people are becoming more enlightened because of the fact that Android phones are penetrating deeper into the population. So many people now have Android phones, and with Android phones comes what? Comes Facebook, comes Twitter, comes Instagram, comes
so many social media
TikTok.
networks. Yeah.
And these are platforms that people are beginning to discuss. Yes, a lot of things on these platforms are quote unquote cruise, but it gets people to think. When you have Atiku, who has been running, emerging under PDP, some people were very much exasperated, as well as they should be. When you have Tinubu emerging under APC, it kind of left a void in people's hearts. Like, gosh, we've tried these people before. If we haven't tried them before, we've tried their proteges before. Atiku was the vice president. So what is he going to do there after so many years out of office? Tinubu has had so many people in this particular administration. He has been able to influence policies and actions of this present administration. If people are dissatisfied with this present administration, I'm not saying people are, I mean the elections will tell. If people are dissatisfied, it means that his policies that he wants to bring in will not ameliorate the situation, the hardship that we find ourselves in this situation, in this country. So what is the next thing to do? Remember, in the last elections, in 2019, there was this undercurrent of a third force.
Yes.
We need a third force. But because of the diversity of political parties, because of the players involved, because it was very difficult to bring people together, that third force, although there was an attempt at a third force, it failed. This time around, people are tired and say, third force, anything, just come along. Someone with some kind of track record, even if they don't have a track record, someone that has not, well, let me use local colloquial English, done us wrong. Just come forward. And therefore, you see people beginning to say Peter Obi or Peter is better, or before it was articulate.
2019 it was articulate.
Articulate. I don't know what it is
now it's obedient.
Everybody's not everybody. Some people are obedient, and some people are still articulating. And now I don't know what
Tinubu slogan is.
I don't. But I'm not advocating for any of them. But there has been an awakening, and that awakening is because people are maturing into the voting age. Number one. And Nigeria is going down in some indices. Some good things have actually happened. One of the things that have happened, which is easily visible, is that petrol, premium auto spirit, is readily available all over the country. You don't have to queue for hours after hours to get petrol. But in other areas, economically, financially, we've gone down. In terms of security, we've gone down. In terms of infrastructure, we've gone down. We were promised we will have Nigeria Airways. It has not happened. There just seems to be a general failure in terms of strong will to govern the country, to move the country forward. There is more politicking and less governance. So now people are beginning to say, we want more of governance. We want to send the right people there, and we want there to be appropriate and proper governance. We don't care who is there, but we do care who should not be there. If they've had a record of wrecking the economy, of wrecking the security system and apparatus of the country, if they've had a record or involvement in the administration of this country within the last electoral cycles at the federal level, well, we really don't want them to be there. Therein comes in this idea of a wave of people to get their PVCs. And this wave is magnified by the fact that we now have social media. So everything is on social media. Driving here today, we saw a young man with a Nigerian flag standing by the roundabout in Pampers and hair shower and advocating for people to get their permanent voters card. And believe it or not, some people might say, and this has been found out to be a fallacy. Some people might say, my votes don't count. If you truly believe your vote does not count and it is not important, if you believe your vote is not important, well, go ahead and ask Goodluck Ebele Jonathan if votes count. He was voted out of office, okay? So he knows votes don't count. If you think votes don't count, well, go ahead and ask the politicians why they pay for people to vote. If you think votes don't count, go ahead and ask President Muhammadu Buhari how he got into office. He got into office by getting a preponderance of the voting population in Nigeria. That's how he got into office. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the former president, lost because he had a fewer number of votes. That's it. So this fallacy of votes don't count has been proven to be untrue. It is actually a method, a way of suppressing voters during the election time, discouraging people from going out to vote. Now people know better. If you don't vote, if you don't participate in the electoral cycle, the electoral process, the counting of the votes, if you don't, something will be counted. And your vote will not be counted because you did not vote, and you will not have a voice in the new dispensation. People are tired of complaining, really tired of complaining. So now people are trying to take their future into their hands. And that is the only way within a civilized society, within a democratic dispensation, that we can take our lives into our own hands. Remember, before it used to be a violent disposition during election cycles. Now people used to be killed. There will be shootings and macheting of people, burning and looting. So people were afraid. During elections was like a ghost town. Nobody will go out. No, we don't have that. After we move to the level where, well, it's peaceful during elections, but after elections, when the results are announced, there is violence. Well, it has stopped. We've moved away from that. We've moved to the point of after elections, well, people go now to the court to see if they can challenge that election. Gradually, we are moving away from even the court process. Because winning in court is very difficult. You have to actually show that, but for the electoral malpractice that favored the other person, you would have won. So if there is a voting block of 10 million and you won 3 million votes, the other person won 7 million votes, even if you show that 1 million votes should have come to you, you still lose.
Yeah.
So why bother? And the court process has become so very expensive and less than 50% of the outcome.
Okay, Dr. Archibong, I like your confidence in the system. But now I'll probably I want to find out from you if the electoral umpire, and that's the Independent National Electoral Commission, has the capacity. You understand? Because it's one thing that people are going out to get their PVCs, is another thing that they will come out on election day to vote, and another thing that their vote will count and result announced. Now, looking at this entire process, do you think INEC has the capacity to deal with the fallout of the renewed interest and the number? Because from what you're saying, the new interest is that people want to see the old order gone and they want to bring in a new order. So do INEC have that capacity to see the process through from your own perspective?
Well, if you really want to see the ability and appreciate the ability of INEC, okay, one of the very first things that you'll do is to actually compare INEC with the State Independent Electoral Commission,
okay,
which has been in every state of the federation an absolute failure. I just don't have enough words to describe it in terms of how they have failed. But INEC, the election cycle after election cycle, has improved. One of the biggest challenges for INEC, which I believe they scaled through successfully, was the elections in Anambra State. Not only did they have a major security challenge in that elections, but they also had an upsurge as well in the registration of individuals for their PVCs and transfer of registration locations as well. They successfully carried out an election in Anambra State. I don't think that election was successfully challenged in any manner. The people accepted it eventually. So it showed me that they are improving. Will they be able to handle an upsurge in the registered number of voters? It's going to be tested in Ekiti, because now we are going into the third cycle of BVAS, the bimodal voter accreditation system. We are going into the third iteration of it. It's going to be tested in the upcoming.
That's on Saturday.
That's
tomorrow.
So INEC mercifully has had time to test out its modus operandi, and if you pay attention now, you'll find out that INEC has been operating on a certain level of independence, financial independence. We don't have those complaints that we had before, that money has not been released, and so they cannot move the equipment, the materials, and the human resources is challenged because of financial difficulties. We didn't have that in Anambra elections. Money was released well ahead of time. Even in these Ekiti elections, we've not had that. The only challenge we've had, and I think it might take some time to sort it out, has been where these election materials will be kept because of the entry of the CBN governor into politics a couple of weeks ago. Yes,
but that didn't see the light of the day.
It didn't, but then it made some people suspicious of the neutrality of CBN in the process. Nobody challenged that, but there were some murmurs and whispers, and INEC for the first time said we will find where there is a necessity, we will find alternatives where we will keep these election matters. Thank God that did not materialize into the daylight. I mean, it stopped that process, but it still did create some wrinkle in it. I truly do have some level of confidence in INEC. Of all the institutions, INEC has been the most stable, the most scrutinized, the one that has grown in leaps and bounds, because after cycle, we have laws that come in to either sharpen the modus operandi of INEC or remove those aspects of the election cycle process that we found to be a little less appropriate. So we've been refining it for a while. The things that challenge INEC was finances, and those finances have been
taken care of.
I think they'll do well.
Okay, I hope they do well, because it's either a make or mar. Now, before we go for our first break this morning, would you say Nigerians are confident about the electoral process, or is it the promise from Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, that he was going to conduct a free, fair, credible election that is giving this whole drive for PVCs?
Well, I don't think the credibility of the promise from the presidency holds much water. We were promised a constant power supply within 6 months. That failed. We were promised a safe and secure Nigeria within a reasonable amount of time. That failed. We were promised $1 to a naira. That failed. We were promised that there will be abundance of food in the nation. That failed. We were promised Nigeria Airways will begin to fly. That failed. But one thing that has continued to improve has been the INEC electoral process. So it's no one's promise, but just the simple fact that the National Assembly has been enacting laws, and mercifully, the president has signed some of those bills into laws. And those the laws now begin to favor the neutral process going forward, the independence of the independent National Electoral Commission. It actually has put in the independence back in the Electoral Commission, which was not there before. There is going to be something worthwhile, and that something worthwhile is going to be that people will vote, but I also encourage people to protect their votes by, if it's within the law, stand back outside of the voting area. Don't loiter, but just stand back and monitor the process. Okay. Don't interfere, even if it is wrong. Even if you see some form of fraud, just monitor it and make a report.
Yeah, there's this new angle to everything that handsets or phones won't be allowed within the voting area. And you know, these are some of the devices electorates use to probably show the wrongdoings of those in charge of probably pulling units at various areas. What do you think about that one?
Well, the handsets will not be permitted within the voting booth itself.
Okay, where you're going to thumbprint?
Yes, because what was happening was people were being bribed, okay, 2,000, 3,000 to go and...
Yeah, but some people, after thumbprinting, they have a way of lifting up their paper at the angle of those that are monitoring will see it. They don't really use their handsets. They lift up the paper there before they fold it. You see that, okay, that's where they will now come and collect that money.
Remember that you stand the risk of voiding your vote if you do such a thing, because the INEC officials will be there as well. The other political parties, we have, I believe, more than 18 political parties. They will see, they won't be quiet. They'll say, hey, you're trying to verify to someone that you've just voted in a certain way. That can actually void your votes, and you end up losing both ways. You don't get the money, which was illegal, and you don't get to vote. And now the biggest part of it is you face prosecution before the courts to see if what you did violate the Electoral Act in and of itself. The idea that people won't be able to take their handsets to go and verify who they voted for or the manner that they voted by taking pictures is appropriate, because that was the receipt by which they could receive money from the candidates after voting. That has been cut out, so now hopefully people will vote their conscience.
All right, if you're just joining us, my guest this morning is one-time candidate of a political party in Nigeria. What's the name of that party again?
That's another chat for you, Nigeria for Democracy.
Nigeria for Democracy. But right about now, he's just interested in good governance, and he's been going round the country to see that things are put right. And yes, we met 4 years ago right here in the city of Owerri, and he called me. He's in town, and I decided that I bring him to talk to us. He's no other person than Dr. Asukwo Mendy, Archibong Esq. Yes, in mere moments we'll go for a quick musical break, and when we return, yes, the phone lines will definitely come on, and I need to tell you, it's a different number this morning. It's 0706 079 1073. That's the number, 0706 0791076. So get your thinking caps on, get your questions ready, and we'll be back in mere moment. It's still Politics 107 on Darling 107.3 FM, and do sit back, relax. We'll be right back right after this. All right. That's the number. Where's it? Okay. Henry, come and look for Timaya for me here. Pity for us. Quickly.
You don't have a Osita Osadebe?
Okay, is there Osita Osadebe? Get me Osita Osadebe quickly, just for a musical interlude. My phone lines are already buzzing. Some are already calling my personal number. So.
Do you use a personal number?
No, my friends.
Okay.
No, you get people.
Okay, because of the case.
No, these are regular. If they don't bother dragging studio live, put it on. Tell Don Belly I want him to paste the studio number here.
Yes, sir.
Are there two numbers?
Yes, sir.
I beg, Henry, this. Tell Don Belly he should get a sheet of paper and marker. Stick it there.
Yeah. Go do it.
Huh?
Okay, why not?
Huh? Okay, the phone line is this channel 3. No,
I'm going to tell you.
No, just leave it. I'll deal with that. What is Ene calling me for? Yeah, hello, engineer. I'm not around. Go and eat. At the village. No, I told you. All right. Come and give me. Oh, where's Henry?
Henry.
Okay, don't worry. I think. Okay, don't worry. I got it. All right, that was Chief Osita Osadebe's a special dedication to my guest this morning. And yes, it's still Politics 107 on Darling 107.3 FM. And we're taking a look at the recent upsurge in the number of registrants beseeching INEC offices nationwide. All right. So, yes, before we go straight to the phone lines, I'll give out the numbers one more time. 0705 079 1073. I'll take that again. 0705 079 1073 or 0916 00 That is 0916 00 That's the number to call. Well, quickly, Dr. Asuko, let me ask this before we go straight to the phone lines. And that's some individuals in Nigeria of voting age are still sitting on the fence over the entire electoral process, believing that the process is skewed. They are believing that the process is skewed, just like you said. You've said that voting counts. If not, ask a Julius Goodluck Jonathan. In 2019, you can ask a Buhari or ask an Atiku. They'll tell you, and if votes don't count, why do people take money to polling booths to buy votes? But some people, despite all of this, still believe that the process is skewed. What would you tell such a person? And he or she is of voting age.
Well, if you really believe that it is skewed, one of the things I will tell you is you're taking a chance in this manner, and that chance is in governance. When you are born, the government gives you a birth certificate. When you finish your secondary school, you are given the first school leaving certificate, and it's the government. When you finish your university, you get a degree certificate. It's the government. You go for your NYC. The government is involved in giving you a certificate. Now you come out, you get your first job. The government is involved in taking taxes from you. You have enough money to buy a vehicle. Guess what happens? The government wants you to register that vehicle, so you're still dealing with the government. You now want to learn how to drive. The government has to approve the way you go to learn how to drive. You get a driver's license. The government is involved in giving you a driver's license. You fall in love. This is the most interesting part. You fall in love with a person of the opposite sex. Now you decide, I want to stay with this person for the rest of my life. Before you even can say, this is my wife, the government steps in and says, okay, now I declare you husband and wife. Now you have children. The government steps in again and says, here is the birth certificate of your children. Even when, God forbid, you fall out of love with your betrothed and you say, hey, I don't love her anymore. I don't want to be him or her anymore. I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. It's only the government that can separate the two of you from the love that you first of all had by issuing you a divorce. So government is involved in everything that you do. So anyone that says that they still don't believe in the fact that the votes count and it's important, well, that is the risk they take, that they will be handing over their whole life and the life of their children to some other person. Now, it's very rare for a person within the Federation of Nigeria since this last democratic dispensation to lose after 4 years. Jonathan didn't lose after 4 years. He completed 8 years of Yaradua and himself. So Buhari is completing 8 years. Obasanjo completed 8 years. The next person that gets into the position of power within the Federation of Nigeria as president most likely will be there for 8 years. Do we want to take the risk of having the wrong person there in power for the next 8 years? I doubt if we really settle down and think about it, that we want to take that risk. Therefore, there is no harm. Even if you think the process is skewed or flawed, go ahead and still register and vote and protect your vote. If it is flawed, now we have the judicial process to put it right.
All right. I think at this juncture, we'll bring in the callers. The phone lines are buzzing. Go straight to the point. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and ask your question. Who's our first caller this morning? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Zandas Keeper.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Asuko, Archibong. I don't have the rest of it well.
Fantastic. Good morning to you, to Tuoma, my brother.
Thank you very much. Professor Darling, I have been a student for how many minutes I have learned for the past long economics. I've been trying to be a student for medicine. But today, I'm a more serious student because your guest has given so many dimensions of it. Thanks to that is okay, who brought in his good friend. And I'm proud of that friendship already now. I want to assure you that
All right, thank you very much, Professor Valin Obina. Okay, quite a number of calls coming in. Let's take this one. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Zandas. Okay, Timba.
All right, good morning.
Good morning to our guests in the studio.
Good morning to you as well.
Our guests, I think I have carefully listened to your speech and your postulations. I think they are okay. But my worry is INEC. Now, I don't know if you have seen some.
Please, Reverend Charles, you need to reduce the volume on your radio. It's echoing back at us.
I've been going very far away.
All right, go ahead. We're listening now.
It's all right now.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Yes. And my worry is INEC. I don't know if you have seen some video or some of these video clips making rounds in the social media of underage being registered in the northern part of Nigeria. Because the problem we have in the electoral system and the voting system of this country, the political system of this country is the north. That is our problem. Whatever that the law says should not be done are always allowed to be done in the north. Why?
All right.
When you talk of electoral rigging, election rigging and whatever, the north is a better ground for all these anomalies. So what can you say and what advice will you give to INEC to make sure that the right thing is being done? That is my worry. Thank you.
Okay, that's his worry. I think I'll allow you to react to that one quickly before we take another call.
Yeah, let me start with the I think Vince was his name.
No, Professor Valin.
Valin, yes.
Yeah.
You see, thank you so very much, a good professor. When you have Nigerians in captivity in Nigeria and Nigerians being born in captivity in Nigeria, it is painful that a pregnant woman was abducted, kidnapped during the train bombing and stopping the Kaduna Abuja train and had to give birth to a child. Imagine being the first face you see, that of bandits as you come into this world. It means that the state does not have the monopoly of violence within the Federation of Nigeria. And it's an indices of a certain level of failure. Nigerians don't want to see that anymore. So that is the drive as well for the PVC registration. When you also have situations on social media that is being portrayed with underage registration of people in certain parts of the country, all I can say is be careful, because some of the pictures, some of the videos are altered and regenerated over time. INEC has come out to say very clearly that it is fighting underage registration in every part of the country. Election malpractice on every level is being found in every part of the country. But if you see it, especially underage registration, report to INEC on Twitter, go to Facebook, make a report, or make a phone call and send the videos in. We will only be helping our country by making those reports and making sure that you follow up with those reports to ensure that the identities of these persons are discovered, the location is discovered, and those voters' cards are cancelled, and we maintain the integrity of the electoral process.
All right, we'll go back to the phone lines now. Hello, good morning. Hello? All right, keep the calls coming. It's 0705 079 1073 or 0916 001107. These are the numbers to call, and you be live with us right here in the studio. Okay, while we are anticipating your calls, I think okay, let's take this one quickly. Yeah. Hello, good morning. Oh, good morning. Good morning. All right, go ahead. All right. Okay. Let the guest react immediately. Thank you very much. Okay, you've heard that one.
Yeah, but when people talk about electoral malpractice during the 2015 elections that brought in Buhari, I tell people that one person had all the state apparatus under his control. The DSS, the EFCC, ICPC, Nigerian Police Force, Army, Civil Defense. I mean, there are more than I can mention in this program. And he knew a whole lot more than the majority of the Nigerians by virtue of his position as Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces. He didn't contest the outcome and the result of the election, so he knew something, okay? Now, even if he had contested, he still accepted the result, meaning that he accepted the integrity of the result. We may think otherwise. He has never said he was cheated out of it. Now, we may think he was cheated out of it, but his acceptance puts to bed every kind of stories that we have and that we are telling at this particular moment. The most important thing today is not to look in the rearview mirror as we're trying to drive forward to the glorious destination of becoming an advanced and a first world country. The most important thing is to encourage everyone to go ahead and obtain their PVC. If you are a student, there is a high probability, a student of tertiary institution, there is a high probability that you have not stepped into classroom in the last 5 months, depending if you are in federal school or in state school or in private school. That is so very unfair, because when you think of the fact that we had an interruption during the pandemic, when other parts of the world were doing virtual classes, our children were at home and their rents were expiring. When others were taking vaccinations and coming out and beginning to unfold their wings in the sunlight of prosperity and development, we were still waiting for donations from European and Western countries to come in so we can take these vaccines. And of course, everybody remembers that they sent us vaccines that would expire in 3, 4, 5 days because we are bigger nations in this area. People are frustrated. If you are reading the news, you'll find out that Nigerians are being held captive in Nigeria, and the state is unable to act as a state and conduct itself in the way that it is charged in the Constitution to act in the best welfare of every Nigerian. That is so painful. No one knows the next victim of kidnapping, of banditry, of murder, of car accidents. There's so much happening. And that is why people are beginning to say, we are waking ourselves because we want to bring about, I don't know if this is still a good word to use, change in the Nigerian society. Well, excuse me if it's a bad word to use on the radio, but change has been so much corrupted within the last electoral cycle that if you say the word change, people stop and remove their shirts and shoes and get ready to fight you, because the change that we have experienced has not been the change of seeing the sunlight at the end of the tunnel, but the change of seeing the oncoming train in a tunnel that has no exit for us to jump out of. And we are screaming and yelling and asking for assistance in every manner, but no assistance is coming. That is why it is very, very important that everyone of voting age goes ahead to get their PVC. And if you see any underage person or groups encouraging underage persons as a group to go ahead and obtain their PVCs, just go to Twitter at Police NG, make that report. Go to INEC at INEC, make that report. Go to EFCC, make that report. ICPC, make that report. Write to your federal representative, write to your state representative, write to your senator, make that report. Believe me, at least I believe INEC when it says it wants to tackle this underage registration. It will be tackled. At the minimum, it will be reduced. Remember, even in the United States, we have people that actually engage in electoral malpractice. Well, Trump did scream and yell, "Oh, I've been cheated, it's a steal." Well, he wasn't able to prove it. But there is voter suppression in every place where we find the practice of democracy being held. In India, of course, there is voter suppression. In America, there is voter suppression. In Canada, there is voter suppression. Of course, there is indirect rule in the United Kingdom where people don't get to actually vote for the prime minister. They vote for representatives to the parliament, and the people in parliament sit down together and say, hey, we want to choose this particular person to be the prime minister. In Nigeria, we have direct voting, direct rule. Everybody votes for who they want to be in power, and that there is a certain advantage to that. It means your votes count. In America, there is indirect rule. You actually vote for an electoral college who then go ahead to sit and tally the votes and then vote for some, and then based on how the people voted, vote for the president and present that electoral college to the Congress, who then stamps it, accepts it, and pronounces the person as the winner, and then the person is sworn in. Nigeria, you get the majority of the votes, you meet the statutory number of states that should be won, you are sworn in as president. It's just as simple as that. Therein lies the biggest propulsion that we should have to go ahead and get our permanent voters card. PVC is your card to the future for at least the next 4 years, at the maximum the next 8 years, because without that PVC, trust me, you won't be an individual that has contributed to the development of Nigeria.
All right, you've heard it there. There's need for us to go get your PVCs and then be part of the process. Yes, already the youth's population is like an army right now in Lagos, in Kano, Enugu, Imo, Anambra, Abia, and even Ebonyi. And I even saw pictures of something happening in Enugu where they were sharing oppa and soft drink to people waiting to collect their PVCs. We saw artists organizing concerts to sensitize the youth to go get their. I mean, there are so many things happening. There's an upsurge. Even INEC has admitted that they've sent out 209 more machines to the southeast, Lagos and Kano, just to deal with this upsurge. Okay, at this juncture, you can still keep your calls coming. It's 0705-079-1073 or 0916-001173. These are the numbers. But I want to quickly ask this. At times like this, you see quite a number of non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, and all of that trying to sensitize people. What would you tell some of these organizations to do at this time in our nation's history?
It is one of the good things that happened in 2018-2019 electoral cycle was that we had a good number of political parties. And part of the responsibility of political parties is to actually sensitize the people about the electoral process. It brought an awakening. A lot of people that had never been involved in politicking had the opportunity to be involved in politicking. It was no longer that expensive because some political parties like Nigeria for Democracy was giving away the expression of interest and forms for free. Now, that awakened the interest of Nigerians. Now, fast forward to 2022, we have even a further awakening of Nigerians. The challenge is that the registration, PVC registration, is still lagging behind. Some organizations, and I'm not mentioning names based on any form of favoritism, but I know that an organization, a church OPM, that is based in Rivers State, has opened its church nationwide for INEC officials to come in and actually register people on Sunday. And the good pastor did say that even if you don't pay the officials on Sunday, that his church will pay the officials on Sunday. That is permitted because that is a neutral act by the church organization. The mosque can do it as well. Anybody can encourage as long as you're neutral. When I encourage, I am neutral in it because you never know the mind of a person. The idea is to have someone come out. Organizations such as MTN should actually encourage people. They can send messages, go ahead and register for your PVC. Airtel can do the same. Glo can do the same. The airlines can do the same. Organizations that actually reach deep into the people should begin to think of helping individuals. Because when there is a challenge, guess what happens? Individuals fall back on churches both spiritually and physically, and the resources of churches and mosques, the resources of these churches and mosques is taxed because of this individual. So please, by all means, if you have the means, open your doors, let people come ahead and register for their PVC.
All right, they say time flies when you're having fun, but before we call it a wrap, I would like Dr. Asuko Mendy Archibong Esq to give us his last shot for this morning show.
Listen, if any guy comes to toast you, ask him first for his PVC. If your husband gives you money to go to the market, before you give him change, ask him for his PVC. If anybody wants you to give him promotion at work, ask him or her for their PVC. If a friend wants to strike up a conversation with you, ask them for their PVC. If somebody says, please, can you alert me? Ask them for their PVC. If somebody says, I'm running low on my airtime and data, can you help me out? Ask them for their PVC. The keyword now should be, have you registered? Thank you so very much.
Well, let me shock you. Yesterday, I took my car for servicing, and before my mechanic touched the car, I told him, where's your PVC? If you don't have it, let me look for someone that has it. and the guy, yes, Osofia at Abu Mechanic Village, he actually produced it, and even the guy that supplied the oil, the filter for the servicing, had to show me his PVC.
Had to show his PVC.
Yes.
I believe my PVC is somewhere ready here, and then you can confirm to the
he has his PVC here.
Fantastic. I carry it everywhere.
So that's the message, and that's much we can take to my guest this morning, Dr. Asuko Mendy Archibong Esq. I'll say thank you for joining me this morning and taking the trip all the way from Uyo to Owerri just for this show.
Zandas, look, I couldn't have done anything different than to come and spend this 1 hour with you. It's such a pleasure, and I'm really humbled.
Thank you very much. Well, that's much we can take. It's been Politics 107 on 107.3 Darling FM. Let's do it again Friday next week with another wonderful edition. I remain Zandas, OKKOT. Wishing you a blissful weekend. God bless your heart, and go get your